kind of makes you wonder who was watching their rates the last, half a dozen years or so, because we've never seen that ever whenever we've gone to market. I know a lot of folks feel like if you're trying to save money on health insurance, it means you're cutting corners and you're going to have to offset or deflect some of the costs to the employees. But we try to do the opposite, flip that upside down and say, well, what if we could cut the costs and actually improve the benefits for the employees?
Benefits on the fly.
Okay, we're about to take off from Olympia. We're heading up to Skagit Airport, which is the closest airport to where our client is in Marysville. It's a small nonprofit company. A lot of people expect that we work with companies over 100, but this particular group has 12 employees. And a new company to us, about 3 months?
Yep.
3 months ago. We took over their plan and started with some of the communication pieces, but today's meeting is going to be going over our market analysis and which plans we came up with. So looking forward to a beautiful flight over the Puget Sound as we go north, about an hour flight from here, kind of between Seattle and Bellingham is where we're going. So Olympic ground amphib 549 Delta Kilo is at Mike Hangar, ready for taxi with November. Will be a northbound VFR departure.
Amphib 549 Delta Kilo, right downwind departure northbound approved on a 17 clear for takeoff, wind calm.
Clear for takeoff 17, right downwind departure 549 Delta Kilo. There's full power. Pulling up, and we're airborne. The speed at 105 is good. We'll trim for power. Perfect. No reusable runway, wheels are coming up. All right, about 500 feet off the ground. We'll go in and start our right-hand turn here. All right, we're flying.
All right.
For those who work with us already, I don't need to introduce my co-pilot today, Lisa, because you all know her. She's our business manager and our senior account manager, and she leads our benefits team single-handedly. So if you've had any issues, employees have had any things come up, I guarantee you that you've spoken with Lisa on the phone and she's helped to resolve whatever those are. So two of us are going to fly up together and meet with this newer client of ours and show them what the results were for our market analysis that we did. One of the interesting things was that usually when we will do a market analysis, we'll find one, maybe two options that are pretty competitive to what they're currently doing. But not every time. Sometimes our recommendation is just to stay where they're at, but usually there's at least one option that's worth considering that can lower their costs to some degree, sometimes substantially. But in this group's case, how many different quotes came in lower than what they were currently on?
About 6.
About 6 different quotes, which kind of makes you wonder who was watching their rates the last, half a dozen years or so, because we've never seen that ever whenever we've gone to market, to have that many companies come back. And we're not talking about lowering any of the benefits. It was basically apples to apples. They're on a dual option plan. They have a comprehensive, is it a 500 PPO?
Yep.
And then they have a HSA
1650
deductible. So between those two plans, we have a half and half as far as enrolled on it. So we went to market to shop just those rates, and 6 different companies came back with the same, if not maybe even a little bit better benefits at a lower price point, somewhat significant. I mean, the lowest one we came in at, which is one of the ones we're going to talk about today with them. Do you remember what percentage?
29%.
29% reduction for the employee premium.
Correct.
Yeah. Or is that overall with employee?
Overall.
Oh, wow. So that's not only employees, but dependents as well.
Correct.
So we're not only saving company that, but in this case, they pay for employees and dependents, right? A lot of employers don't pay for dependents, which would mean the employees would be seeing a 29% reduction out of their paycheck, which would be huge. Well, like I was saying before we took off, I think a lot of people, when they see the content that we put out and the information, especially when we talk about alternative funding specifically, they assume that we're talking about companies that have over 100 employees,
right.
And those are the people that they're dealing with. And so I think a lot of smaller businesses with 50 employees or 15 employees think, well, that's just not for me. We're just kind of stuck with the traditional, Blue Cross Blue Shield type options. And so this one's a great example because these guys have 13 enrolled employees on their plan. And just to give kind of a overall context, what that ends up meaning, that 29% reduction in cost to the employer, and again, this is a nonprofit, so it's even a bigger impact, I think, overall. 29% is over 6 figures a year in premium savings, right? Overall, we're talking over $100,000 in savings for a small group of 13 employees. I mean, most businesses, I think, when you say to them, hey, we can reduce your costs, we can infuse your business next year with an extra $100,000, you start thinking about how many of if it's a product they sell, how many products would you have to sell to get that result? Or how many services, if you're service-oriented, how many booked appointments would you have to equal $100,000 in found revenue? That's really where it could be a game changer. I mean, that's 2 employees that a company could bring on,
right,
with that kind of savings. So I know a lot of folks feel like if you're trying to save money on health insurance, it means you're cutting corners and you're going to have to offset or deflect some of the extra costs to the employees. But we try to do the opposite, flip that upside down and say, well, what if we could cut the costs and actually improve the benefits for the employees? And that's going to be one of the options we're going to present. It's not just, hey, we found you 6 different plans cheaper with the same exact benefits you have now, but it's also like, or you could do this other completely different strategy where we have a 0 deductible essentially cost. What was the plan that we ended up recommending for what was the deductible?
$3,000 deductible.
Okay. So one of the recommendations would be to move them to a $3,000 deductible.
Right.
Right. And then once they meet their deductible, they have their co-insurance up to their out-of-pocket. And I think the out-of-pocket on this plan was it $5,000?
$4,500.
Oh, it's $4,500? Oh, even better. When you take the total savings that they're going to see, if they go this route, if they're saving over $100,000, let's say, in premium dollars, and let's just say they said, okay, we're going to put all of our employees on this $3,000 deductible, $4,500 out-of-pocket limit. We'll call it $5,000. So $5,000 out-of-pocket limit, just for easy math. If they had 12 employees, because I can do that math easier, 12 times $5,000 is $60,000. So they could literally pay every one of their employees' total expenses, the employee's deductible and their co-insurance. So their surgery, whatever they would need that year, would be totally paid for 100% by the employer and then the insurance with the after the deductible amounts.
And they still had almost a $48,000 savings.
The fact of the matter is, not every single one of your employees, there's just no chance. The odds are just so against that. When you look at how 35% of people ever even meet a $500 deductible,
right,
that tells you right there, there's no way 100% of your employees are going to max out their health plan. At the end of the day, they're not going to have $60,000 in expenses to pay for their deductibles, because we know that probably less than half of or right on half of their employees don't even
meet it.
Yeah, they won't use it, right?
Yep.
They won't even use their health plan. So that'll be one strategy for them to consider, and we can talk about a little bit of the mechanics of how we make that happen. Because what I like about this strategy is it's what I call a mini self-funded plan.
Right.
Employer is self-funding the deductible and the co-insurance. They're not self-funding the whole thing like a large company would be able to handle. And with that premium that they were already paying already, that savings, that found money can be utilized in that way.
Right.
And now you've got employees that instead of having an HSA or a $500 deductible plan, they got a plan there's no out-of-pocket costs at all for the employees. Technically, if they wanted to, because of the amount of money they're saving, they could even extend this to the family.
Right.
They literally could just pay we'll pay for your kids, everybody, whoever has a surgery, and they can always apply that $5,000 to, any of their family members. Or if they really wanted to be super generous and say, we're just going to pay for your entire family out-of-pocket costs up to $10,000, because that's the stop loss is $10,000. That's the max out-of-pocket. Even then, that'd be for 12 people, it'd be $120,000.
Right.
So, and that's about what we're saving them. And we know, again, there's no chance that all is going to happen. It's incredible that's something that we can do even with a company that is relatively small, with just a dozen employees. They're not a large employer. I think a lot of them have that misunderstanding or misconception that they have to stay with just the traditional off-the-shelf kind of pre-box plans.
Well, and it's these smaller companies that dollar amount really impacts.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.